Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. I'm very excited to introduce to you guys my very close friend, Mr. Raymond Hayden, who is the damage prevention specialist at Sunrise Manufacturing. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic, brother. How are you?
Good, man. We've known each other for 180 years, something like that.
Actually, about 178.
I remember working with you as a rookie many years ago, and we were very successful together. We've had a lot of very positive things.
Yeah, it's funny because when I think of you, because you and I we've worked with each other on and off throughout the years, and I think how funny is it that you're a rookie, and I'd been a sales rep for probably, I don't know, maybe close to 10 years at that time.
Yeah.
And I literally I remember I was in a meeting with you guys in Wilsonville, and I got Starbucks cookies and coffee to keep everybody happy, and I talked about dunnage and wood replacement, and you and I and you were the only one that really was interested and came up to me after the meeting, and as well as I do that little conversation that happened after that meeting led to, I think, about 2 or 3 months from there, nearly $1 million win.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was like, and you were a rookie, for God's sake.
Oh man, huge, absolutely game changer, and in a very positive environmental effect. We
absolutely
literally replacing plywood truckloads. I don't know how many truckloads we did, sometimes 7 or 8 a month.
The first order was for 15 truckloads, I think.
And we were replacing plywood with, at the time it was called Hexacomb. Right. We were with a different company. And It's amazing to think that material is equal from a performance standpoint for what we needed it for.
Absolutely.
And not only is it a replacement, it's incredibly light, which will save the weight on the trucking. So an environmental win and a business win.
Well, that's why, yeah, exactly. And that's why reps like you and whoever trained you before you, there's a handful out there that understand that when you go in to make a sale, especially in packaging, we have a responsibility to our company and the environment, and it's not just go in there, hey, how much are you paying for that?
Right.
$9.95. Well, I'll sell it to you for $9.85.
Right.
Because just that win we're talking about, the plywood replacement in the transportation industry, not only was it from a cost point more affordable, but like you said, it was lighter weight, so it was easier on employees, prevented less on the issues and safety concerns. Sustainable, could be recycled, and took out weight in the truck. So all around, sustainable. What a win!
So cool, such a cool story.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a very diverse background as a rock star, a musician, all these cool things. You were in the military. How do you go from all of that to the packaging industry?
Interesting, and I'll make it succinct, I promise, man. Oh God, Ray, we only got 20 minutes. First of all, how I got into the packaging industry was simple. It was one of the key elements to what you and I do for a living, and that's listening. And my boss listened. Going backwards, out of high school, my parents were divorced, and it wasn't woe was me. I was like, okay, I want to see the world. I want to travel, and how am I going to do that with a single mom and no dad around? I was like, well, I'll join the military. Turns out one of the best decisions of my life, because I got a great recruiter, and I got Europe guaranteed. So I got to go over and live in Germany, work in a tank battalion, which was, not sure why I chose that. Still to this. but while I was over there, I happened to meet, and I'm giving you the short version, I happened to meet some people who were musicians, and we joked around one night over beers and said, hey, you should buy a keyboard and learn how to play it. And I ended up doing that. And all of us, we're all in the military. We stayed over there in a band and toured all over Europe, and then decided to come back home. Of course, we come back, and all kinds of things happened, and the band broke up. Came back to Washington State just to kind of take care of some family stuff. My grandmother was ill, and I was taking care of her for a while. I went back to college, And fast forwarding again, when I got out of college, I went to work for the state of Washington, and I kept getting kind of rolled over for jobs because of quotas and different things like that. Not for sales quotas, but for different, men, women, minorities, all this stuff. And so be it. And so why I said listening is because, my boss, Matt Allen, very well.
Yeah.
And Matt married one of my oldest, dearest friends from growing up. And him and I would go to lunch every couple months.
That's cool.
I just was sitting there just saying, I can't believe I got passed over again. I said, they promised me I was going to get this, just going on and on. And he's sitting there across the table and he looks at me and he goes, he said, our company is looking for a will call person.
Oh,
was that easy? So basically, because he listened, because he'd heard me, he goes, over the last couple of lunches, I've heard you being miserable. He says, you're a good guy. Why don't you come get a start here? So I went to work for a will call for a company called Industrial Reference Supply. And a year or so in, they basically told me that the sales and will call had grown 40 to 50%, and they're putting me out in the field.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I became a distributor sales rep for polyurethane, polyethylene, polypropylene, expanded polystyrene. You get it. That's where I got my start as a distributor rep. And then how things happen in this industry, then basically Matt ended up going and getting a job as a manager at Hexacom when it was with Pregis at the time. And then down the road, I followed him there. And so, yeah, he was the boss, I was the minion. And so ever since then.
You guys had a good partnership.
Yeah, we have a good partnership. I mean, he does things a certain way, I do things a certain way, and we complement each other. And like you and I mean, same thing. It's like when you're a mill rep and you're a distributor rep, you have to complement each other. You have to trust each other.
Right.
And that doesn't just happen overnight, right?
Well, I'm honored to have a friend like you in the industry, and just as a person, you definitely got me through some tough times in my life, and just
remember,
like you said, just listened. And I think we've been there for each other through hard times and through great times. So
through personal stuff, and also
through big wins. Yeah, so it's cool to be able to go through those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't be more.
This is a question I'm asking all my important guests here on the show. I'm very interested to know your thoughts. Can packaging be sustainable?
I absolutely think packaging can be sustainable. Like anything, I believe that there are exceptions.
Yeah.
But packaging, I mean, of course, what I focus on, everything I focus on is dunnage, is freight protection materials. But the lion's share of what we do is corrugated, built up corrugated, drop down void fillers, honeycomb, as you said. So the majority of what we do is sustainable. Some of it's reusable, and a lot of it can just be hogged and put in a corrugated dumpster. And I think your question is kind of more vast. And when you say packaging, when I look at everything I've done in the packaging industry, there are, I think it's an 80-20 rule. I think 80% of the packaging out there could be sustainable. I mean, that there's clamshells and things like that are made out of potato byproducts, all that.
Amazing.
But right. It's absolutely amazing. But there are still things, and listen, we've got some brilliant people, and a lot of them right at your company. But things like polyurethane and polyethylene foam, things like that, when it comes to electronics, that's just going to take a lot more engineering. Can it be done? Absolutely. But it's going to take a lot more engineering because, years ago, when I was at Hexacom, they tried coming up with a product that they called it cushion foam. And it was meant to replace polyethylene foams like that with electronics, right? Because as you know, if a package drops and it's got electronics in, that force is distributed to that. And so, we tried that, didn't work, because paper doesn't have the same memory, doesn't have the same, obviously, attributes as foam does.
Right.
When you say can packaging be sustainable, I absolutely think yes, except for where a lot of the polyurethane, polyethylene, polypropylene foams are being used. And then I think that basically it's going to come down to engineering.
Right.
So, there comes a point, right, where, you have to, you can use what's always been used. But if we go down that rabbit hole of continuing to use what's always been used, we're going to continue to fill up our landfills. And you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where I don't necessarily see that the material is a problem. I just see that there needs to be some engineering done. And maybe best case would be get some engineering done that marries up some of the sustainable recyclable products with foam to continue to reduce that footprint. But our engineers and our designers in the packaging field are the ones that are going to really need to step up.
I agree. And we're excited to announce certain new changes to molded pulp packaging. We're working with HP and other companies to replace polyethylene and polyurethane foams.
Nice.
With some molded pulp and corrugated and hexacomb or honeycomb designs. So those some of the things I need to talk to you about, actually, but very exciting things happening there. And I think a lot of these companies that are pledging towards higher PCR, more recyclable packaging by 2030 are starting to act now in their design changes and just planning, because some of these designs can take a year or two, as you know, to really get into fruition.
Oh yeah.
Because they cannot be without supply, and we need to be 100% certain that we've got stock and everything. So it's exciting to see.
Do you mind if I make a side note?
Please.
So interesting that you said that, because as you know, in this world, timing is everything, right? And the things that, whether it's in business or whether it's in personal, two of the things that people seem to want more of is time and money, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So what you just talked about the engineering and taking the time, and then you said being able to get things in stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So over COVID, I spent a lot of time. I hired a life coach. I did a lot of things. I was like, okay, we have been giving, this is a terrible way. I know I'm just going to, we've been given a gift.
Yeah.
We've been given this amount of time to restart things, to reinvent things, to kind of kickstart things and look at things differently, which I think needs to happen, at least every now and then. And with what's going on in the world, as you as well as I do, if anyone is listening to this podcast in the packaging industry knows how volatile the market is right now with freight, with everything under the sun, price increases, unprecedented price increases. Customers don't know their price on things a lot of times, so they put their PO in, right?
Right.
So with all that, with all that being said, so the volatility of the market, it's hard, and force majeure was being put in place on a lot of products. It shut our corner board line down for 2 months.
Yeah.
The force majeure with acetate for glue.
Wow.
So right now, I'm excited to hear that you're doing that, because there's this lull in the market, where people are buying, and you're probably like us, busy. People are buying, but this is the time now for companies to really get off their butts and develop these things and figure out what it's going to do, because getting raw materials now is more difficult than it's ever been. So it perfect timing for
you. Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I've heard 2022, I've heard 2023, where people are saying, "Oh, we'll catch up, we'll catch up." Well, the world has changed. People want delivery at their house, and so we have to be able to accommodate that, like it or not, and figure out how we're going to package everything individually that used to be packaged in bulk at a shopping store or a mall or something like that. So it's just going to take more packaging. That's it. That's it.
People don't like change, but change is the only thing that is never going to go away. I mean, yeah. It is what it is. Listen, we all, I mean, whether we're you're in the president's club at your company or a rookie, you're still probably going to be a little frustrated with everything that's going on. But then you wake up in the morning and pull up those bootstraps, and you're like, hey, this is an opportunity. The people who will excel and have success and be able to sustain themselves within this market are the ones who really think outside the box and utilize the company's infrastructure. It's cool.
Right. Or inside the box.
Or inside the box. Yeah.
So tell us about Sunrise. What kinds of things are you guys manufacturing? What kinds of materials are you replacing with your built up corrugated and your honeycomb and your other things like that?
Sure. Well, yeah. And thanks again, Cory. I really appreciate you having me on here, giving me an opportunity to chat with you and also to lift up my company. Manufacturing has been around since 1981. I promise this isn't going to be the bullet point, but it's always nice to let people know how long a company's been around, so they know that it's not the first time at the rodeo. So we've been around since 1981. I kind of joke around and because I want people to remember about us. I kind of look at Sunrise as the smiley face of the United States. And the reason I say that is because we have a business model that is sustainable because of that smiley face. And the smiley face is a plant in Vancouver, Washington, Rancho Cordova, California, Santa Teresa, New Mexico, Eagle Pass, Texas, and Rome, Georgia. Now, if you're looking at a map, that's a giant smiley face. Right? I mean, exactly. I tried to get our marketing people to do something with that. But so those are where our plants are, and it allows us to sustain what we do in the market across the U.S. And up, through the 5s and the 405s and all that. Predominantly, we are a freight protection company. We do have products that can be used inside the box, like honeycomb, like you said, hexacomb. It's basically Coke Pepsi, same thing. So the honeycomb products can be used inside the box, of course, and for a lot of different elements. But the majority of what we sell into is, a lot of times distributors will go into a company like whether it's Coca-Cola or Milgard or Samsung, right? And there's products, and they're taking those products and they want to put them inside of a box to package for the consumer. So they're looking at aesthetics on the outside of the box, they're looking at protection on the inside of the box, then they palletize them. Well, when it comes time for any manufactured product to go from point A to point B, that's where Sunrise Manufacturing comes in. We're freight protection, and not just to fill voids, but literally. So, we have honeycomb that goes in to replace wood and other types of products, plastic slip sheets, plastic totes. We have airbags, we have drop-down void fillers, we have diamond packs, which are giant corrugated honeycomb pads. We have built-up corrugated, we have desiccants, we have a stretch wrap, we have tie guard, sorry. Basically, you get the picture, and there's other ancillary things we do, but basically, it's when the company is going to ship their manufactured product, in the box and everything, from wherever they're shipping it to, whether it's the distributor or to the end user or overseas or wherever, whether it's truck, intermodal, or freight, that's where we come in. And we will sell singular items like we have with you, but we pride ourselves on creating systems, because when you're in a truck or an intermodal or a rail, they're all very, very different modes and different levels of violence as far as transportation. And so, in some of those cases, in the very back of the truck, we'll have honeycomb panels, and then down the center of the truck, we'll have void fillers, and in the front, maybe in the middle of the front, we'll have airbags to lock everything and create a bulkhead. So it's simplest put, freight protection. We're everything that you could possibly think of to get it from the manufacturer to the distributor, wherever else safely. That's where
it's impressive. The vast product list that you guys have is very impressive. You've been a great partner for Landsberg, and we appreciate that. I thought of you yesterday. I heard that my friend Avelio Matos was telling me a story about airbags. And he said that this customer was having damage to their packaging and they couldn't figure out why. So do they need to increase the thickness of the corrugated? Do they need to add V-board? Why are these boxes getting squished? And what they figured out was, as they go over the mountains, the airbags that they had between their pallets were expanding. And they were enough to crush the boxes. And so all they had to do was change the route of the truck. And it saved them thousands of dollars on damage. So I thought of you because I thought, well, they could have could they change the route, but they could also go to those drop down corrugated things that you guys have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of the times. Listen, if product gets damaged, there's got like you have to ask a lot of questions. I think sometimes reps, and I'm sure I've done this before too. We're confident in ourselves, right? And we should be. We spend a lot of time, getting experience, but sometimes it comes back to what I said earlier. We just need to listen.
Yeah.
Because if we ask questions and just sit back and listen, we might find out sometimes that the answer, like you said, is simpler than going in and spending a bunch of time and doing whatever. And, years ago, my boss, I went in with a particular customer, and he said, so what's driving this change? And I said, oh, price. And he said, price, huh? He said, well, tell me about the cat. I told him. He goes, and I said, well, I asked him, I said, hey, I literally asked them, what is driving this change? The other. And they literally said to me, price. Now, this is when I was a younger rep. And my boss said, Ray, price is never the answer. And I looked at him. I remember looking at him, and I was just kind of looking at him going, uh-huh. And in my head, yeah, of course, price is the answer. I mean, everyone wants a better price. And he said, it's the need behind it. And he said, what is driving the price? And I'm like, so I need to ask them why. He said, so you asked him, why is the price important? And I remember thinking, oh my God. And so he went on a call with me, And I remember, I'll never forget it. I said, hey, so the other day when I heard you told me the price was important, can you tell me why price is important? He goes, oh yeah, because, he didn't even flinch. He just started saying, well, because we're having issues with getting this truck, getting this product down to this, this customer in Portland or something like this. Anyway, it was this thing. It had nothing to do with the product. So here we were like looking at possibly figuring out a way to redesign the product, get the, take margin out of the product, whatever.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the product. We literally made a phone call when we left there, and we were able to solve their problem. Now, did our sales increase at that particular time? No. But we also didn't lose margin. We didn't waste time.
Right.
Just asking questions.
And you helped them, and they'll never forget that. I think when I ask questions like that, sometimes people get surprised, like, oh, you actually care enough to go through this process with us, spend your time. You're not in a hurry. So many times I've been on calls with rookies or as a rookie, and I've been in a hurry. It's like, just settle down, sit down and listen and ask the right questions. And that's where the wisdom comes in, I think, is what are the right questions? Yeah, it's funny you saying that. It reminded me and about being good partners, right? Is we don't share margins and all that kind of stuff. That's too close to the company belt, but we do share we share target prices, we do whatever. But speaking of that slowing down, I can't remember when it was, but I remember a time you actually told me that. You're like, Ray, just calm down, slow down. Because I get it. I can tend to get into that mode because I want to get it fixed. I want you to be happy. I want everyone to be taken care of. But that doesn't mean go a million miles a minute. It just means slow down. Yeah, we'll get there.
It's powerful. And if more reps would just, years ago, I had the only real sales training I've ever had back in the days at another company that I was with, and it was the old Xerox training, and it was, before you go into a sales call, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then remember these 4 words: open, probe, support, close. And I remember when we first started doing that, I was like, open, probe, support, close. It's like, oh my God, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go in and say, hi, what's going on? I'm going to ask you questions. But having some sort of, if you take the time to breathe and just take the time to organize your thoughts, it helps, because every call you need to go in and you need to have your, maybe it's not didactic, but because you said, like, the customer goes, oh, I really care. Is you don't want to leave, no matter how they're like, oh yeah, I only got 10 minutes, and they give you 30 minutes. You could still leave, and they could say, well, he just wasted 30 minutes of my time. So it's just respecting your and their time, for sure.
And to ask a question like, or say something like, listen, we're here to help you guys. We don't know that we're the right provider, but if we are, we'll do everything we can. And just to watch their shoulders fall, and just like the stress comes out of the room, and it's like, listen, we're not trying to push anything. If we're the right solution, we're going to help you, and we'll be great partners. If we're not, we'll find the right person for you.
Right. Yeah.
It's a simple mindset that has eliminated so much stress from my career in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Well, being in the packaging industry for about 25 or so years, ish. I've worked with, and the predominant amount of that has been in being a male rep. So I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of reps. There's a lot of really good reps out there. There's only a handful of reps, seriously. And I'm not just saying this because you're having me on your podcast. There's only a handful of reps out there like yourself who really take the time to listen and to work with partners and do all that. And you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But accountability is the key thing. And your little, when you just said there about what you say to the customer, that's important. I mean, because of course they're buying from the company, but the person who's representing the company is right in front of them. And so you're that conduit. And people are, you're a sales rep, they're a buyer. Once you remove that from the equation, you're just two people trying to help each other out. We've got a problem. Maybe you've got a solution.
Totally simple. I agree.
That's a packaging industry. I love it.
Yeah. So how do we get a hold of you, sir? What's the best way?
The best way to get a hold of me is Raymond H at sunrisemfg.com. Raymond H at sunrisemfg.com. And that's my emails, and try to respond quick. And if anyone out there has any questions about what we do, or maybe want to tell me what they do, and I can tell them how our company can fit into that, give me a call. Email, should I say.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put that on the show notes, and
Cool.
I'll put a link to your LinkedIn page. And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Landsberg Aurora, for their continued support of this podcast. Please, listeners, give us a review, and we would appreciate any feedback on the show, so we can keep doing this and spreading the word about sustainable packaging. It's important to our world. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ray, for being a guest. You're the man. I appreciate you.
Cool.